Hey guys, I'm here with Josh Faulkner. He is a YouTube viewer, and he was on the road transporting RVs, and the upper oil pan on his 2017 King Ranch Ford here, that silicone blew out in the corner and was blowing oil all underneath the chassis and making a mess. So, yesterday we got the transfer case. It's laying here somewhere. Oh, it's back there. And transmission is out. I'll get under here and show you a little better view of what we got going on here. But basically, you pull the motor mounts, and there's a couple of bolts because you don't really have to have the motor jacked up to get the pan out. It slid out of there without with the motor down where it normally sits. But you really almost have to jack that engine up to get a couple of those pan bolts on this right side rail out. And there's a wiring harness with a couple 10mm bolts that bolts to the actual oil pan, because there's a couple of studs on the pan. I mean, they're just, because what happens is it comes up against this angle on this cross member, you just can't get a wrench on it. So anyways, gonna video some steps here as we put this thing back together so we can get him going. But we gotta, what causes this, and thank God that I've got a YouTube channel. So what causes this on these later 6.7s, because the older 6.7s had a Venturi style setup, positive crankcase ventilation system, whereas this one has a filter setup. And this filter is supposed to be changed at 60,000. Well, what's happening here is this filter is saturated. It's kind of like the ISX Cummins, where the, so what happens is that filter gets saturated. So, of course, the crankcase pressure is going to build up, and it's going to take the path of least resistance. So, what it did is it blew the silicone out of the pan. Because I was sitting there thinking about that, and I didn't know this. I didn't really think about it until I was talking on the phone to another YouTube viewer that all he does is work on these, and he goes, you got to change that filter, it's going to happen again. And so thank God for him, because that would have sucked to have to do this all over again for both of us. So anyways, here's the upper oil pan right here, if you're wondering what it looks like. The bottom pan, Josh has got an aftermarket AFE pan. It's over there, but it's got a rubber impregnated seal on the bottom pan that seals up against this surface here. Now the upper pan is all, there's the lower pan right there. It's got a seal that's impregnated into this groove here. So that's a no problem deal there, but this one's siliconed on there, and as you can see, and also on this one here, you've got some seals that are in this too, and Ford had all these seals brand new. So what we're going to do here, I think what we're going to do is take this stiffener plate out and then take it outside. We're going to wash this pan out real good, clean it up, and then we got to get all this old material off of here and get it cleaned up and get the external surface cleaned up, the pressure washer. And then, oh, also there's 3 seals here. The oil cooler mounts to the upper oil pan. So there's 3 seals here too. So I saw a comment I had mentioned Josh was broke down on the last video, and one of you guys had made a comment that you had just had yours done, and they said that Ford had to pull the cab and pull the engine out. Well, as you can see, you don't have to do that. Ford's probably set up to where they can do it quicker. I mean they do them every day, but you don't have to pull the engine out. So there's the proof of it. But the challenge is going to be getting the silicone on there and keeping it on there as you get the pan back into it and get it cinched up against the bottom of the block. So what we might have to do, and they actually show that in the service manual, they actually have stands, and they're coming right up against the valve cover, which is, we kind of found that hard to believe that they would do that, but I don't see any sense in doing that. Here's these big flat tabs. Actually, it's the cylinder head. And no, that's the block. Yeah, that's the block. You could come right up against that tab there with a port of power on each side and lift that up. It's my plan anyways, to lift it up a couple inches, because you got to be careful if you lift it up too far, you got to watch your shroud and your fan because you're gonna break something. So you just got to be really careful and kind of keep an eye on it. So anyways, let me get busy here with the cleanup process, and then we got to get our porter powers up here because I just really think we're gonna have to lift it up to get that in there safely to keep the silicone where it needs to be on the pan and get ourselves plenty of room to slide that pan back in there and get it bolted up. All right, guys, we got a long day ahead of us. Okay, guys, so we got the pan in. I'm trying to find my light. Don't know what I did. Oh, it's over here, I think. Or wait a second. I've been known to leave it in places, not be able to find it. But anyway, we got her up in there with the help of Josh, the owner. We had a porta power on each side, and had the engine raised up a couple inches just to give us some more clearance to work with. You know, the biggest fear was trying to get that pan between the cross member and the block and keep all the silicone on the pan and not wipe it all off. So anyway, I think we did all right. Hang on, the phone's ringing. Okay, I'm back. That was some scam artist piece of shit with their extended warranty fucking scam phone call. So anyway, anyway, what I was saying is you just try to give yourself as much clearance as possible. Hopefully we got, I mean, it touched in one spot in the corner, and we actually, once we got it into position, we let it down and let it sag on the back bolts and let the front hang down, and we put some more silicone on that spot. So I'm pretty confident she should be fine. So these bolts are torqued to 159 inch-pounds plus 90 degrees, and the only thing you can do, you can't get your torque wrench, there's no way you're just not getting your torque wrench between that pan and that cross member. Ain't gonna happen. So I basically just torqued the ones I could torque, and then the other ones you just cinched them out as tight as you could get them by hand, and that's about all you can do. So now let me get the oil cooler, and we'll stick this thing on there. We got some new seals in there. Ow. Let's see if I can put you in a spot here, maybe, where you might be able to see something here. The reason we didn't do this on the lift is these newer Ford pickups, like these F-350s, that lift's a 10,000 pound lift, and I just need a bigger lift. It's right at the capacity, and it just makes me a little nervous being right on the line like that. You know, this thing's a $80,000 rig. I don't want to drop the fucking thing. So, let me get the cooler. What the heck did I do with it? Here we go. This line goes, oh, there goes oil all over my fucking lap. Because I had it upside down to begin with. Let's see, it's gotta go. I'm trying to remember how. It's gotta go in there like that. Gives you a newfound respect for working on like a truck or a tractor. You don't realize how easy it is in comparison to some of this shit. I mean, these things are a bear to work on. And then even at that, you start working on some of this import stuff, these little cars. What a miserable... I have a newfound respect for some of them guys. Well, things have changed a little bit. Now we have 5 of those dozers to do. They're bringing 2 more up from down south. We got 5 of those undercarriages to do. So I need to run these up with an impact, and then I got to get in the book here. Let's see if we can find it. I can't imagine the torque on that oil cooler being very much. Okay, so I've already done that. Oh, whoops, I'm on the wrong scroll down section here. Okay, these are the stands they're showing there to hold up the engine, which we didn't use. We used a porta-power on each side. Okay, we've done that. That's done. Oh, I see. You have to go back into this section now. There's a different section. Position the transmission cooler tubes and install, well, okay, where is the section I'm looking for? Transmission cooler tubes, install the nut. Refer to lower oil pan. Refer to oil cooler. Okay. Alright, engine cooling system draining, blah, blah, blah. This is all removal. Where's the pictures at? Click here to learn about symbols, color coding, whatever. Okay. Let me go back. Why is the picture not loading? What the hell, you know? Let's just go to that again. What the hell, man? Let's go forward and try to see this. I don't know. Okay. Those. Alright, where are necessary? Install the oil cooler outlet on installation. So the new oil cooler gaskets. Okay, in the event of catastrophic engine failure, change oil cooler. We didn't have a catastrophic engine failure. Hand start, we install the oil cooler and hand start both 2, 4, and 7, which I don't have a clue what those are because the picture won't load. So tighten to 18 inch-pounds and then tighten to 89 inch-pounds. I think what I need to do, just to be a little bit overcautious, is pull this. Here. I don't know if it will. I got it strapped down pretty tight, but maybe set this underneath it. I don't think it'll go anywhere, but
maybe set this underneath.
Yeah, underneath this. Yeah. Shim it out a little bit.
There you go.
There we go. Maybe she'll stay put. It just drives me crazy. That's one nice thing about the Allisons. Ford always puts the suction tube and they'll leave a dent in the bottom of the pan, and it's not square and flat. And the damn transmission wants to sit there and do this on the jack. That's one thing nice about the Allisons. They just got a good, nice square pan on them, and makes fucking life a lot easier on you. Okay. Stay there, board. And let me guess, the handle is clear the fuck around there. I think it's deceiving. I think the transmission might be a little heavier than what I thought.
That's still full of fluid too. So.
Yeah. No, I drained it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's empty now. I never pulled the pan or anything yet, but I can feel myself rubbing on something over here. And that's the thing with these things. You try to, a truck, you got a little more room for two people to get underneath it. And these pickups, they're kind of tight.
If you want, I can just pump it up and while you put it in place.
Oh shit. You want to help, that's fine, but it's pretty oily in here, Josh. I mean, there's a lot of I don't know where the transmission, oh, that must have come from that transfer case when I pulled it out.
Yeah, I was still leaking over here a minute ago.
I was sitting there going, well, the thing's got a seal on the back of the transmission there. Why is there oil on the ground? Cooler lines popped over where they need to be. Okay, now I gotta get this fill tube to where it clears the bell housing. Maybe I can just go sideways a little bit with it. Oh, let me guess, the board's gonna hit. It might clear it.
Got that shorter one on the other side of the truck, I could throw it.
We might have to do that. Let's do that. That would be much better. Oh, perfect. I might ought to like tie that to the jack so it's there next time.
I'll work on that when you get done with the jack. Give you something to do.
So now we gotta go get the angle of the dangle right. Now I better get around this other side and make sure there ain't something screwing me up over there. Okay. Okay, where are we at here? Not rubbing on that. We should be all right there. I didn't move the crank or, turn it over or anything. So all that should hopefully, and I tried not to move the torque converter, so hopefully the studs, that's what I like about torque converters that just have threaded holes and they have bolts, because you can just reach in through the inspection hole and just turn it wherever you want and then put your bolt in. With the ones with studs like this, you gotta get them perfect and get them lined up. And tell you a little story. Used to work with a kid, and he was kind of a wild man when it came to doing things. Bull in a china closet type kind of guy. He was one of those guys that never finessed anything in, just force it, And we were putting one of our trucks, we were putting we did a clutch job on it. And I was underneath it like this, guiding it in, and he was on the back. And I told him, I said, just push on it till it comes up and it stops. And then we just got to get the jack just right, and it'll go in. We got to get the pilot and everything. I'm underneath it like this. I mean, truck transmission, 800-pound transmission. And he's on the yoke, and he's just shaking that thing, and he just starts jerking on it, and the thing almost falls off the jack. And as I'm underneath it, he hits the release lever accidentally with his other foot, and it started coming down. And I got out of there, and it came down. I said, dude, what is about easy that you're not understanding here? You're going to kill me. Man, that guy, he was something else. Look at that, nice and level. That's where I want it. Now there's fuel line bracket deal up there. That's where the guy's got to be watching shit. don't pinch it in between the bell housing and the block. What the hell is that? All those fuel lines back there. Why does it act like it's not wanting to go up in the front now? What the hell's going on? Hanging on something. Yep. There, whatever it was, it came unhung. We're doing that. Yep. Okay. So I keep telling my wife, says, you don't need to go to the gym to work out. You can come with me to work. You'll get in plenty of shape. That doesn't usually go over very well. We're getting there. We're really, really close. Now, let's get this fill tube. Maybe. See, now I see. I'm glad I didn't go all the way. Well, they've got an ear on the bell housing here sticking out, that basically that tube needs to go. Well, it might come around it, maybe. I think I can get that around there. My angle's a little bit goofy here, though. I gotta do something here. Okay. What are we doing here? These jacks, I don't know how they, just wonder, you know, you pulled it out and it came out and you go, how did the angle get off? Because I didn't touch the frickin' jack. So, yeah, it's got to come, it's got to rotate counterclockwise quite a bit. I don't think we'll worry about them top bell housing boats. You don't need those anyway.
Yeah, just take it off.
That just adds more weight to it. You won't get as much payload on.
That's right.
You know, I ain't gonna lie, you know, like something like that bracket that's hard to get to, that's almost impossible to get to. Yeah, every once in a while a guy goes, well, we're not putting that back on. But, you know, stuff that like holds shit together to keep it from falling on the highway, yeah, it's probably pretty pertinent that you put it on.
Yeah, considering I do still have to drive the truck home.
Okay.
I mean, I like you guys, but I don't intend on moving in.
All right, YouTube. So we got a screw up. So we were getting close to the. There's my light. Hey, there it is. It's in the frame rail. Anyway, we were on the finishing steps, really. So I was transmission transfer case. I put the front drive line in. So we wanted to get the oil poured in it. And I said, but I've got to get you got to pull the oil filter housing off to get the starter out, and then you got to pull the starter out to get to the torque converter studs. Well, I said, let me get the torque converter nuts on it. I'll have to get the starter in it, and I'll have to get the oil filter housing on it, and then we can pour the oil in it. Well, the socket on the first nut came off the ratchet, and it fell down in the bell housing, and I broke 2 magnets trying to get it down in there, and we cannot get it out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pop this front drive line loose right here. We're going to pop the shift cable back off of it. We're going to unplug this. We're going to pop this off. We're going to be burning the midnight oil here trying to get him going. Oh, come on. And we're gonna leave most of the bolts in the bell housing, but we're just gonna try to move it far enough back to get the damn thing hopefully to fall out. It's right down here somewhere. And they don't have any cutouts or no inspection plates or nothing, so what a pisser, man. You gotta love this occupation sometimes. So that's the plan of attack here. I think I gotta, yeah, I gotta pull 2 nuts off. We're gonna leave the cross member in it. I don't even know, we'll probably put a floor jack back here on the transfer case to support it. Put the transmission jack here. Just leave the bolts in it and then just see if we can get it back far enough. Hopefully to pop it. Maybe it'll fall out. Okay guys, so what ended up happening, which I didn't realize on that cross member, it had to come out. We almost had to take everything completely off and start over because the torque or the cross member had studs in it. So the back of the transfer case is not, I mean, there's only a couple inches between there and the bottom of the cab, and so there's just not enough room. Plus, if you start lifting it up to clear those studs on the cross member, then it's not setting square, it's putting an uneven tension on the bell housing, so the cross member has to come out. We did leave the transfer case in it, and I don't know, hindsight now that I've had to go back and do that, I probably would have just went back and pulled it off, because I'll tell you what, with that transfer case in the way, those top bell housing bolts were absolutely miserable trying to get them off. There was a reason I didn't video that, because this, like I told Josh, the entire clip would have been a solid bleep, 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 bleep. So, anyways, so if you're going to do this, I would probably just recommend, the way we ended up doing is we pulled everything. We had to pull the front drive line. We pulled the front drive line clear out of it because I had to stick my head up back in there to even kind of eyeball and see where the top bell housing bolts were. And once I got the drive line out, let's see, I took the drive line out, oil cooler lines, the fill tube, had to take it loose, had to take cross member out, should have took the transfer case off, would have been a hell of a lot easier, especially with Josh being there. It's a lot easier. You know, you don't realize how, you guys have watched my videos for years, and you know I've always been by myself, and I just don't even know how to react when somebody's there to help. It sure is nice when there's 2 sets of eyes and 2 sets of hands trying to help, you know, manhandle or watch something. It sure is nice. So Josh sure came in handy here in the late stretches on this one. So anyways, that's what you want to do if you have, well, hopefully. Oh, here's another thing I wanted to tell you. So Josh actually had an excellent idea. So we're sitting there talking last night when we were going back together with this thing and putting the axle torque converter nuts back on. And he said, you know what? Why don't you shove a rag down in between the ring gear or the flex plate and the bell housing, and if something falls off, it's right there. And that was actually a really good idea. I don't know why I never did that before. So what we did is we would put the rag down in there, tighten one up, and then rotate it to the next stud. You know, you pull the rag out so we didn't wind it up in there. You know, rotate it to the next stud, stick the rag back in, start the nut. Because I was telling Josh, I said, I dropped a nut here on that International DT 466 in that, that hay wagon that I rebuilt the engine in. It had a big Allison in it. And I remember that one there. I dropped a nut down in there, and I had to do the same thing. I had to pull the transmission back out and get the nut out of there. So this is something that was a very, very good idea, and I'm going to commend him for it. Okay, me and Josh. There it is. I couldn't put it on video. Well, I would have had to do a voiceover for the whole thing because there's been a solid bleep through the entire video of me cussing. But there it is. we ended up having to take them clear loose. The socket was just too wide. And I finally got the bigger magnet in on the bottom and got a hold of it and got it fished up here. And then I got the bar in the socket end of it and shoved it up there back to the hole and pulled it back out. Dirty, miserable son of a bitch. So now we're taking a little breather here. We're close. You know, I got to get line back up here. Actually, you know, it'd be pretty simple. I'm sitting there thinking about it. We could let off on that jack a little bit because we got to go this way, and that would do it. That would tilt it this way just a touch, and then we'll slide her back in. And this time I was telling Josh, I had my hand up in here with one arm torquing on it because they just don't give you any room to do anything. And somehow the sumbitch popped off the nut, and of course the socket went down in the hole there. I've never dropped a socket down in here before, but I had a Allison in well, you guys remember that international truck I did the engine in this summer? Yeah, that one there, the nut fell off. One of the nuts, I was trying to start it by hand, it fell off down the bell housing. That same song and dance as this almost. I fought it, I tried getting magnets and it never would. And you know what I wound up doing? Pulling the transmission back out so I could get the damn thing out of there. So, we got her. Let's just, we're gonna make damn sure it doesn't happen again. So, anyhow, we didn't have to completely tear it down, but we're close. Anyways, it pisses me off because I'd Loctited all them bolts on those drive line, had that all nice and secured in there, and you're wasting that, and it's like, son of a bitch, man. Anyway, hopefully we'll be back with you when we're pouring liquid in it. So that's the first thing we're gonna do, is once we get the transmission bolted back up. And see, now we just got to be careful and make sure our torque converter didn't move on us, and our studs, you know, that our studs are going to line up with our flex plate. That's kind of the reason we didn't want to go all the way out with it. We didn't want any of that stuff to change because it went in. I knew it went in too easy. You know, everything went lined right up and popped right in when I put it in. And I said, that's too easy. Something's going to go wrong. Sure shit. So, anyway, I'm going to take a breather. And then we're gonna fight it back in there. Okay guys, we're gonna start this old girl. He's letting her prime up. I'm gonna try to get the air out of this thing. It's damn near, I don't know, probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
12:30.
12:30 at night?
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Yep. Oil pressure looks good. Okay, I'm gonna climb under here. So far, so good. You think we let that stuff set up long enough?
I do.
Okay.
Actually, I do. I'm gonna give it a couple thousand RPMs and let it
Yeah.
run
Get
for
the
a
oil
minute.
pressure up, down. Yeah, it sucked the water right down to the minimum now. No check engine light or nothing?
Up there's the oil pressure.
Okay.
Went up there, but not much.
It'll probably go down a little bit when oil gets thinned out. So far, so good.
1900 RPMs, that's normally what we run on this, so.
Guess we can check the change fluid while it's in running, huh? That is a long dipstick, ain't it?
Well, the next thing is going to be give her a bath tomorrow and put her back to work. And when I get her home, I'll get that serpentine done too. I'll get a little low, huh?
I'm thinking she's down, clear down in the bottom of the stick.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
Probably a couple more quarts, huh? Alright, let's just leave it running. Leave it running and I'll start putting some tools up. Well, I think we got this thing. I don't see any leaks yet, but the oil ain't warmed and thinned out, so we'll keep an eye on her and we'll let you know.